I think that the way we obsess over what has been takes away from what we can get. In saying that, I really just allude to the idea that the past is past. I feel like we have to learn to let yesterday be yesterday over and over again. And especially in my recent times, I'm realizing that it's not just our mind that really holds on to the past, but our body, our entire being, and our identity. I think it's important to sort of understand the ways in which we're being held back by these sort of previous notions, especially when it comes to the present moment. Like when we encounter new situations that are sort of representative of a past moment, and we feel exactly like we did in the past, not because we're exactly the same person, but because part of our identity is still being tied to that specific set of information. And that's why I feel like it's important to realize that what isn't acknowledged can't heal. You can't heal what you can't acknowledge. And I think we have to learn to be a little bit more focal pointed and intentional when it comes to our own healing and it comes to our own development as people. I think if we don't find ways to sort of fill in our vacancies with something positive, with something new, then we won't ever become as new as we want to be. We won't ever be able to overcome some of the issues that sort of remain prominent within our lives. And that's why I think it's important to, first of all, just be present. And I know I talk about being present a lot in videos, but I feel like presence is sort of the key to instantiating anything new. I feel like the future is always built in the present, and if you want to experience something new or be new, you have to do it within the present moment. I feel like if we wait until the future, or you're putting it off into your future self, you're just waiting for a future present moment for you to instantiate it in. And I think if we have any capacity to do what we want now, or to instill some type of change within who we are at the present moment, it's important to do it now, because it's the greatest opportunity. You know, why put off until tomorrow what you can do today? And I feel like our parents might have told us that quote, or something like that, but I feel like it's very true, especially when it comes to your own development. I think sometimes we think that our mind isn't ready. I think sometimes we think that our mind isn't ready. And when I say, that stress over, I realize that a lot of times our thoughts take away from our ability to do a lot of things. He who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are usually both correct. And I think if we want to actually overcome anything and move past anything, we have to put it in our mind that we at least think that we can, or at least give ourselves enough validity, security, and confidence to actually attack the problem. Sometimes you have to use your mind and body in tandem. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes your mind gets dragged into the past, and sometimes your identity or yourself gets dragged into the past. And it's important to use, yourself to get yourself out of those moments. Like when my mind is too overcome with the past, I try to be where I am. I focus on what my body's feeling, being where my feet are. When my body's caught up in that, I use my mind to recognize that whatever it is that I'm stuck in is not current, nor does it have to define who I am. It's important to move forward so you can leave things behind. And I think part of that moving forward is acknowledging what's in front of you. I think if we always remain stagnant because we don't actually want to cross those barriers and cross those, I guess, points of inflection, points of intersection, whatever you want to call it, whenever we have to confront ourselves. I think in avoiding those problems, we are really just avoiding ourselves and running from ourselves without realizing that you can never run from yourself, because you're all that you are. You're always going to be where you are 100% of the time. And that's why I feel like it's important to sort of vest some type of care, vest some type of relationship with who is there. As long as you have yourself, you truly do have someone, and you have to treat yourself like a friend at times. And I don't mean that just in your actions, but in your thoughts too. I'm realizing, especially recently, I'm trying to be more conscious of my thoughts, more conscious of the way they sort of contribute to the life I live. And I realize sometimes our mind be playing us like a fiddle, treating us like some sort of test subject to some negativity. And I think it's important when those negative thoughts do come up to not just instantly combat them with some type of strength of mind, but recognize that you aren't the thought, then instill something positive. I think it's always important to come back to the present moment and sort of move forward from your thoughts and move forward from these specific things that sort of tie us to a previous version of ourselves or a previous idea. Our mind is as powerful as we let it be, and I think if we vest it towards more the future, or if we want to experience something better in the future, it's about investing more good into us now. If we want to achieve something grand in the future and we think we're not fit for that now, it's important to bring ourselves to the level of our desires via thought at first, at least. Telling yourself whatever it is achievable, or telling yourself you're more than capable, or just doing certain affirmations that align with where you want to go. I feel like if we don't affirm ourselves in that way, then we're always putting ourselves down. Like, the distance that we feel between our desires and ourselves is just representative of how much we value that certain something over the value we have for ourselves. And that's why I feel like it's important to vest your value where you are and in who you are. So whatever that distance is can be minuscule. I feel like a lot of times successful people feel like they succeeded before they actually get whatever award or achievement. Success is more so a mentality than it is a accolade or a place or anything like that. And the same thing goes with peace. I think a lot of us wait for peace to happen in our environment without recognizing that peace is something that has to be achieved mentally first. We can get into a situation that's more calm and open and but in a time of peace, the militant man will attack himself. I think a lot of us attack the world or play defense from the world in our attack of ourselves. We try to run from a lot of the aspects that are out here without realizing that the aspects that we're running from are really representations of, our discomforts within. And that's why I'm trying to say, like, if you don't go within, you go without. Sometimes you really have to play an intentional role in your own development, your own character, your own self-love, your own everything, in order to truly overcome some of the aspects that we've ingrained into our character over the years. And I think it's not necessarily a super easy thing to do in terms of thought, but it's easy to do in terms of application. I think we really just have to start right where we are and begin to instill some type of positivity, some type of love within who we are, even if that means just looking yourself in the mirror and telling yourself you love yourself. I feel like all of these things sort of contribute to the life you live, because the more love you give to yourself, the more love you are apt to experience. I feel like the law of attraction is a very real thing, and if we can just bring our thought about ourselves or bring our feeling about ourselves to a greater level, then our experience will be that much greater. Because the first thing that you always experience when it comes to your situations is yourself. That's the first thing you always come in contact with. That's your reaction. And that's why I think, Alan Watts and other philosophers in the past have talked about, who we are in a real sense is the reaction to the external world, or is our reaction to the external world. And I think that's very true. And I think if we can recognize that we are that reaction, then it's about affirming ourselves so our reaction differs. I think our perspective that we take on the world is truly governed by the thoughts that we have on ourselves. And if we think about ourselves in a more positive light and have a more positive perspective, even when encountering some type of negativity, it won't necessarily be inherent to us enough to make us react negatively. Or at least in certain situations. Of course, there are, blatantly immoral, negative things. But when it comes to our day-to-day, when it comes to things that we can sort of be present with while we're here, I think it's important to sort of give ourselves that ability to be present with it. I think your perception and your consciousness and your ability to see other ways to look at things is sort of a tool that should be used by everybody. Not to say that, everything's just a matter of your perspective, but many things are, especially yourself. And I feel like if you can think about yourself in a way that benefits you, that allows you to continue to traverse the world and achieve your specific goals, then why not do that? And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean think about yourself in some egotistical way that demeans others or puts others down. I don't think that comes from a place of genuineness. I think we have to learn how to invest love in ourselves in order to attain some type of backbone, some type of foundation within this world, so it doesn't necessarily take away from our view of others. And since I've been trying to love myself, I've only realized my capacity to love others, to experience that with other people, and to, I guess, open myself to new experiences with that. I feel like you can learn from pretty much everything, and I think we're found in pretty much everything that we do, as long as we're present enough to do it. And I think when we come in contact with other people, we sort of bring out this ego of ourselves, this character, and we try to play it to the point where we lose track of ourselves. And in saying that, I really just mean that, we have to give ourselves enough to give ourselves enough presence, give ourselves enough love and affirmation to actually get a genuine interaction and get genuineness and authenticity out of ourselves. And I think authenticity is sort of the key to pretty much everything. I feel like the more authentic I am with everything, even this channel, my writing, with anything I do, makes it all the more better, makes it all the more intimate, makes it all the more relatable. I think that the best thing we can ever do for ourselves is be ourselves, because we're the only one that can be us. You know, you're the only one who can see your potential. You're the only one who can live out your full potential. And if we don't take any active participant role or any active role in trying to instill some type of better mentality, better perspective, and recognizing that the past is past, then we're always going to be living in a reality that's defined by what has already happened. And if we want something new to occur, it can never occur. What isn't resolved always repeats. And I think the resolution that we have to find here isn't necessarily within the world, but within ourselves. I think it's a recognition. Is that a word? I think it's just in recognizing that, you know, you don't have to be defined by anything but you. And I don't mean that to say in a societal sense, if you act out of character or act in ways that harm others, that it's only about your perspective. I don't mean that at all. I mean, when it comes to your perspective and your, I guess, attaining of your goals, it's about having a perspective that allows you to be and allows you to be expressed fully. And in that full expression, I find that we actually are able to better see parts of ourselves that are seeking out change, or parts of ourselves that we should change for ourselves, for our betterment. I think it's not necessarily just about, I don't think authenticity in and of itself is just about just expressing yourself fully and not having any regard. I don't think that at all. I think authenticity is not necessarily in terms of your expression of ego. And that's why I think it's important for people to sort of gather some understanding of the way in which their ego and their expression of themselves seeps out into the world in ways in which it can be negative. Because I feel like your expression isn't necessarily, something that has to be solid. I feel like you can express yourself in a million different ways. And it's important to understand that expression and understand how you express yourself to yourself in your words, and understand how those things sort of contribute to your downfall and how they can impact others too. That's why I feel like it's overall important to sort of speak through your language, not just speak the language, but speak through it. Understand ways in which you can express yourself that allow you to actually get your point across and allow you to actually be authentic to who you are. And I think in that way we find comfort, not necessarily just within the words we use, but comfort within the person who's using them. Because if we do that intentionally, then our expression is intentionally done, and we can be within that expression. Then we can have love and affection for that expression that we give out. And in that way, regardless of however someone reacts to it, however someone, wants to connotate themselves, you already have a connotation there. And I find that connotation that's there is, at the end of the day, just how you feel about yourself. So in recognizing that the past is past, I think it's important to recognize that you have to instill some type of new thought, some type of new mentality, some type of new love, some type of new affection into yourself, so that you can better approach the world, better be one with what you actually want instead of what you're trying to get over. So if you made it this far in the video, please take care of yourself. I know the new year is coming up. I don't know if this is coming out before the new year, to be honest, but if it's the first video of the new year, hey man, happy new year. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you guys are taking care of yourself to the best of your ability. I think at the end of the day, it's really just about broadening your perspective of yourself and allowing new life to sort of be within you, allowing new experience to sort of be garnered and taken care of by your thoughts. Using your thoughts to your advantage. And I know it's not always easy. Even with myself, I know there's negative thoughts that happen. But it's important to recognize where they're sort of coming from and whether or not they truly serve you, and doing whatever you can or whatever you can do to get over that. Doing what you can with what you have. I feel like sometimes we don't always have the tools that we think we need, but we have what we need. We have what we can use. And if it's just ourselves and it's just our thought, then it's just about looking yourself in the mirror or just saying to yourself the things that you need, or the things that you need to hear from the world. What the world doesn't give to you, sometimes you have to give to yourself. And yeah, so happy new year, yo. A lot of good things on the way for us. Please take care of yourself. Please keep doing what you're doing, taking care of your mental, your spiritual, your physical. And make sure you're being a friend to yourself.